So you want to build a garden bed in 10 minutes. Well, it's going to take a bit longer than that. This garden bed is going to be 900 by 1800 by 400 high. Let's take a look. If you make a garden bed too big, then you might as well use your own garden. If it's too small, you won't be able to plant much. So the dimensions that I have is actually quite a nice sweet spot. You might find other ones at 2 meters long by 1 meter wide by 400 high as well. Now I had some spare colorbond fencing panels which provided the dimensions for me, but getting the timber was a bit challenging. I could have gone out to the local hardware store and bought the exact timber size, but I thought about using recycled pallets as a way to help the planet. It took about half an hour to try to dismantle it and get all the nails out. Now this larger pallet here I was actually using as my compost bin, hence you can see the chicken wire. Dismantling this was a bit harder than I thought because the wood was quite solid and the nails were quite hard to get out. Quite often I found that the head of the nail would deform and it rusted away, so I couldn't actually pull the nails out. So in the end I just smashed them back in. Now if you do go and grab recycled pallets, you want to make sure that it's been stamped with HT, meaning it's been heat treated and not chemically treated as well. You don't want the chemicals inside the timber seeping back into the soil, into your nice juicy vegetables. I must admit that halfway through I really wanted to give up and just buy the timber itself. The other disadvantage of getting recycled pallets is that you've really got to tidy up after yourself, because as you can see I'm doing this in my garage and I don't want any old rusty nails lying around when I drive my car back into the garage. I might get a nasty flat tire one morning. I had to go and snip off all the chicken wire, and then in fact some of the timber or the pieces of wood were too long, so I had to saw it in half in order to fit it into the bin. But after that was done, on to the next job. Now it was time to cut the timber into 8 pieces of 40 centimeters each. You can see here I'm just going to adjust the miter saw. If you don't have a saw like this to make your job easier, then just use a hand saw. It does the same job and you only need 8 pieces, so it's not that bad. You see here I'm constantly adjusting and measuring, just like what they say, you want to measure twice but cut once, because you only get one chance. And look at that, that's a perfect 400 millimeters. Couldn't get any better. Half the time was also spent trying to not cut through nails as well, because there are lots of nails still embedded inside the timber. That was a close call there, as you can see. Cutting through the nail is not great for the blade. Having a drop saw is super convenient because you can guarantee that the cut is going to be nice and straight, nice and flat as well. So there we have it, all the timber cut. I've got 9 pieces there actually, one more for good luck. And now on to the next phase of cutting the sheet metal. Now I didn't have an angle grinder available to me, so I ended up trying to cut this with a multi-tool, and it did work, but it wasn't the straightest of cuts. And there was a lot of vibration as well, not to mention it was very loud. Now this panel here is 1.8 meters long by 800 wide, so cutting in half would give me the desired height. So I only needed one cut. I did the same for this panel here, but the difference is that I cut this panel half another time because this was going to be the shorter side. You can see it's quite obvious here how not straight this line is, so I think I'll get an angle grinder next time. Now I'm going to measure out 900 millimeters, as you can see here, because this is going to be the width of the garden bed. And again, I'm going back and attacking it with a multi-tool. It's okay. It took a bit of time. There we go. Now, I ended up going ahead and creating the corner braces with the timber using recycled nails. The first 3 pieces were really quick, but using recycled nails can be a bit of a pain because some of them were slightly bent, so I had to tap them into shape. This final piece here, the final corner, was a pain in the butt. The timber was very solid. It was made of hardwood, so all the nails that I tried always bent out of shape. You can see this one here bent in 2 directions. That's pretty impressive. So after multiple attempts I gave up and I tried screwing it in. That didn't work as well, so I actually had to go and pre-drill the holes. And in fact, on my first attempt, my drill bit broke. After a new drill bit, I went ahead and drilled carefully and a lot slower this time into the wood, and then grabbing a couple of screws and fixing it in instead. That did the job, even though it was still pretty tough. And then now onto the last piece. Here, all you got to do is fix the panels to the timber. So I went ahead and laid out the panels like so, as you can see, and then just using some very small self-fixing screws for external use, and just drilled it in. So the wide panels were pretty simple and pretty quick. The challenging part came trying to do the sides, because I had to use something to support the sides up before fixing in the shorter side up above. Just doing one side first and then doing the other side as well. Now I'm doing the other side, and what happened is that I started drilling one side and then the other side, and then lo and behold I found that it was slightly not square, so I actually had to go and take it all apart again and redo it, which cost a bit of time. A bit of a pain in the butt actually, but when I had it square and all lined up and then drilled it in, and it looked a lot better as well. Screwing the lower parts together, I had to lift up the garden bed like so, making sure that it didn't fall on me, and it gave me better leverage as well to really push the screws in. The other side, just as easy, and that's pretty much it. Putting the garden bed into place. So not quite the 10 minutes that you might expect, just under 2 hours, but not a bad job indeed.